Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula V race, round 4 of the series. Chris Lewis has pole position in car 32 ahead of David Cutts and Bernie Henley, the man that we thought would have it. Stephen David next, then Ken Taylor and Frank Kleinig, followed by Dennis Gillespie, Nigel Hook and Norm Johnson, and rounding out the top 12, Jeff Stone, Greg McCombie and Sergio Lavamacoca.
And of course our race cam men have been very busy indeed here today, mounting up Bernie Hanley's Toledo Tools entry with a race cam. We'll take pictures shortly. And they're racing in the Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula V race and getting away. Chris Lewis on the inside with David Cutts alongside. Then right back behind him, Stephen David making a good run up on the outside of Bernie Hanley. They're then of course followed by Frank Kleinig in car number 2, could be the man to watch. And we take race cam over the top of Nissan Skyline and dropping down into Dunlop Loop for the first time. Looks like Chris Lewis has gone through to take over the lead. Very close category of racing. They exit Valvoline Corner. There you can see them using the wide line as they sweep out of Dunlop Loop and they head down to Mazda Corner. There's the entire field through that turn, and now for the downhill run to the left-hander at Honda. It's Lewis, Cutts. Then right behind them, Bernie Hanley. Behind Hanley, Stephen David, then Frank Kleinig, one to watch as they make the run down the short straight to the right-hander at the Lake Corner. Hanley well positioned in third. We take race cam again. And our race cam engineers have been doing some superb work with open wheeler race cam. They sweep beneath the start finishing line. And of course, with 1 lap completed, 9 still remain, and here is Bernie Hanley hard at work. Just how close are those wheels? Looking at trying to drop in here on the inside of number 6, David Cutts. Cutts still holds him out though.
This is the final round of the Coca-Cola Bottlers series. Only 2 can win it, Kleinig or Henley, and a win for either would give them victory in the series. But again, Mark, we've got a driver here who is not figuring in the points for the series, Chris Lewis, playing the role of devil's advocate.
Frank Kleinig comes up on the inside of Stephen David, but it's still Lewis over Cutts and Hanley. That's the order 1, 2, 3 as Hanley works on the tail of David Cutts going down to the Lake Corner.
28 horsepower at the rear wheels, these cars, not exactly a powerhouse. 1200cc VW. A jet in that one, I think.
Oh, that's a little audio license there.
1200cc VW engine, bog standard, VW front end, VW gearbox, and they seal the engines and the gearbox to ensure there's no funny business.
Oh dear, Bernie's had a nudge there.
And one's gone off on the left there into the wall. By the look of it, Bernie gets going again, does he? But I tell you what, he's got some work to do. There's been a touch of wheels down in the Dunlop Loop.
Lewis is still there, so is David Cutts. So I don't know who it was that Bernie came in contact with.
Well, Bernie's had a hit from behind.
Just Frank Kleinig.
Could have been Kleinig.
Wow. Well, it's interesting if it was, because they were the 2 that were figuring in the fight for the championship.
I saw Kleinig run off to the left, out towards the pull-off area, and he hasn't been spotted since, catching the next time they drop into Dunlop Loop.
Yeah, well, that little incident's put Bernie Henley back to 8th spot. I guess importantly for him, he's way in front of Frank Kleinig.
Let's have a look at this now from 2 angles. Let's take Bernie. I think you'll find that the man about to come in, yes, I think that's the touch with Kleinig.
Yeah, it's Kleinig's car, all right.
And Kleinig goes off towards the tyre barrier, getting it around sideways. We'll have a look at the camera angle coming into Dunlop Loop. There's Bernie, as you can see, smoking a tyre, and he's going straight out.
Locked the brake and got right under car number 2 there, Frank Kleinig. He was lucky to stay upright.
And I tell you, it wasn't a bad piece of driving from Frank Kleinig. Kleinig's heading out to the tyre barriers and decides at this stage we'll just back that around, save the head-on contact with the wall. Great driving. He copped that one cold. And Bernie was locking a brake up, so he had nowhere to go, just under the front wheel, and that's exactly what happened. So you got that from 2 angles. Meanwhile, number 32, Chris Lewis in the Predator, leads up Bitchapave again from David Cutts. And in the meantime, of course, Bernie Hanley's trying to fight his way back through the field. There's 1 and 2. Here's the scrap now for third. Number 3 coming through, Stephen David. Right behind him, of course, Ken Taylor in 24.
Norm Johnson bringing up 5th spot, so it's a pretty close go there for 2nd, 3rd, 4th positions. But Chris Lewis has led from the jump in this race. Stephen David under some real pressure.
Yeah, Lewis has done a good job, hasn't he? It's quite remarkable in a Formula V race. You don't see positions remaining static so often as we have today. Usually expect a lead change a lap or so.
No, that may well happen. The Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula V Series today at Amaroo Park. Still David Cutts keeping the pressure well and truly on Chris Lewis.
They've gone half distance. Oh, Cutts having another look over the top. And that's the trio in 3rd, 4th, 5th positions. Over the back of the circuit. Nose to tail, those cars now, and closing up on the leading pair as well. Now it really is starting to get exciting again. And this is as close as they've been. The top 5, nose to tail. Coming down towards the lake corner, and Chris Lewis fighting to protect the lead in this race. He's been there for the 6 laps so far run, 4 laps to go.
Great pictures from the JPS airship that hovers over the top of Amaroo Park Raceway and attended by an absolute sellout crowd today. Marvellous pictures coming from the airship as they work the start-finishing straight again and working their way up towards Bitchapave Hill.
A long climb up Bitchapave past the fantastic crowd there on the left of the circuit. Over the top they come. This is where Frank Kleinig came to grief, just about here. And of course Bernie Henley further back in the pack now after running 3rd at that early stage.
It's a case of cut and thrust in the dust here between these 6. They're really at it.
Anybody's race.
They hardly use the gearbox to any extent too. They go back from 4th to 3rd here. Honda corner, grab 4th about now. And then heading into the lake corner, they grab 3rd again, and that's the sum total of their gear changing.
But the racing is very, very close indeed.
Although race cam's still working. And so's Bernie.
Bernie's 9th on the road at the moment, so he's got an awful lot of work to do.
Out of Toledo corner, across the start-finish line. And you can almost see the determined look on Bernie's face there in the rearview mirror. As he pursues this other car over the top of Bitchapave Hill and down towards Dunlop Loop. A lot of ground to make up on the leading division. And he needs to finish as high as possible because he does trail Frank Kleinig in the points for this series, remember.
He's having a battle on his hands here because the driver just ahead of him is covering his tracks rather well. Meanwhile, back in the lead, that great scrap continues. The Predator of Chris Lewis, the Spectre of David Cutts, and the Commando of Stephen David. You like your motor racing close?
79 gets the go-by there. That was Robert Lucatila on a brief vacation from Fiji, having an outing here at Amaroo Park.
It's got from one warfare into another here this afternoon on wheels. Only 2 laps remain. And you always get the impression that the man leading this race mightn't win it.
Well, he's done a pretty good job. As Peter McKay said, he's led from the jump, and I don't think I've seen that in a Formula V race at Amaroo Park or anywhere else for a long, long time.
He'll be dirty if there's no lap money on this one.
Come down to the left-hander at Honda corner. The little squiggle length down to the lake turn. .32, Chris Lewis, our race leader in the Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula V Series at Amaroo Park. Stay out against the wall. See the last lap board this time around with Lewis. There it is. As he heads off Bitchapave for the final time. Lewis goes through.
He's got a bit of a break too
He has
now.
too. Stephen David moving into second.
Norm Johnson making a big run up there on the inside up Bitchapave Hill. Doesn't really gain him anything. But number 3, Stephen David, goes through on the inside to second spot. David Cuts out of that position. Norm Johnson then is 4th.
I'd like to be fly on the wall when Bernie Hanley and Frank Kleinig have a bit of a chat at the end of all this.
Be an interesting conversation, won't it?
Yep. Coming down to the late corner for the final time. Chris Lewis and the Predator, pole man today, with a 59.74 timing yesterday, and he's led every lap of this 4th round series up to Toledo corner for the final time. As they sweep out and go across the line will be Lewis. First one home. Second spot will go to David. And number 24, Ken Taylor, getting up for 3rd place. Well, it had plenty of incidents and 1 or 2 hair-raising accidents in it. The Coca-Cola Bottlers Formula V Series, round 4 this afternoon from Amaroo Park Raceway. Let's recap the placings for you on the Castrol Oils Ain't Oil scoreboard. Lewis the winner. Stephen David takes second. Kenny Taylor is third.
Leading from start to finish. It's almost unheard of in a Formula V race. Congratulations, Chris Lewis.
Oh, thank you very much indeed, Gary. Thank you very much indeed.
It's taken a while for you to get this car to run at its full potential, but by gee, it showed it today.
Well, initially I brought the design of the car in from the States about 2 years ago, and it just didn't respond to normal V procedures. So it's taken us a while, yes, to get it handling properly.
Craig Shepherd is here from Coca-Cola to make the presentation, and well deserved, I might say.
Chris, on behalf of Coca-Cola Bottlers, congratulations on taking out the 4th round of the Coca-Cola Formula V. Great
Thanks
race.
very much indeed, Craig. Thank you very much, and I'd like to, of course, thank Coca-Cola for their continued support of Formula V, and of course the ARDC for running such a magic meeting. Thank you very much.
Okay, congratulations, Chris Lewis. We'd like to have a camera down there to see what's transpiring in the conversation right at the moment between Frank Kleinig and Bernie Henley. The points situation between them with the final round coming up next meeting is going to be very interesting.